My name is Frank Sysyn. I'm on the executive committee of the Holodomor Research and Education Consortium. This is the group who is sponsoring this conference. The HREC, as we call it, is funded by the Temerté Family Foundation. I just discussed with some of our visitors from Ukraine that if you go over to the ROM, you will also find that they funded the dinosaur room there. So they have very diverse interests, but certainly one of the strongest of these is the Holodomor, not least because Mr. Temerté's parents were survivors of the Holodomor from Donbass, which is quite interesting. Indeed, Hrek in Ukrainian means Greek, and they are partially of Greek descent, which also shows how multinational Ukraine is and was, and how the Holodomor affected the inhabitants of Ukraine. The Hrek is a project that has been going now for 4 years, and each year we organize a major conference. We began with a conference called Contextualizing the Holodomor, which dealt with research on the Holodomor that had occurred over the past 30 to 40 years. We have put out the papers from that conference that attempt to say what scholarship mattered, not only for the study of the event, but for understandings of Ukrainian history, Soviet history, history of genocides. That is, what does this study offer? And since then, we've largely done comparative conferences. So we have done a conference on starvation that also dealt with Armenia and Ireland. We have dealt with communist famines. That is a comparison of the horrendous famine in China at the end of the 1950s and early 1960s, and the famine in Kazakhstan, which is a famine related to the Holodomor, but in many ways functionally different. Those papers have been already appeared in the journal, East-West Journal of Ukrainian Studies. You have information in your packets on that, and will soon appear in print. I'm afraid I'm still old-fashioned. I don't really view things as published until I can touch them. We look forward to the volume appearing very soon. We are privileged today to have another and new opening in our study. Ireland has returned, and obviously that is a frequent comparison. Indeed, one of the major monuments in Toronto is of the Irish famine, and there will soon be a monument to the Holodomor not far away from it. And so in that way, the two are closely connected. But today we will also deal with the Bengal famine. But of course, it's the thematic part of the conference that has drawn so many of you here, that is empire and colonialism, and how this relates to famines in comparative perspective. We are, as always, grateful to the Temerté Foundation and the other funders. We are also grateful to have so many co-sponsors: the Petro Yatsik Program for the Study of Ukraine at the Munk Center at CIRIS at the University of Toronto, the Ukrainian-Canadian Research and Documentation Center, which is over at the St. Vladimir Institute on Spadina, and the HREC Institute in Ukraine, the director of which, Dr. Ludmila Hrinevich, is with us today. Since I have a few minutes, I will use them then, and to tell you, those of you who are not familiar with it, that it has not only a research component, that is to study the Holodomor, but it also has an educational and outreach. That is, it deals with curriculum, the introduction of study of the Holodomor into school curricula, particularly in Canada, but not only. That is, it has these two wings that also deal with the issue of public recognition. That is, because so long the Holodomor was denied, that is, the existence of any famine at all, and then only study of it could really begin starting in the 1980s, as the Soviet Union began to experience glasnost and perestroika. One could at least talk about it or begin to talk about it in the Soviet Union, and then only slowly were the archives to be opened up. So it is a case in which although it occurred in 1932-33, the level of public awareness was necessarily low because the ability to study it was low and depended largely on groups abroad, above all of survivors who lived in the West, as well as the Ukrainian community, which was interested in the study of it, and then opens up in the 1980s as it can be recognized in the former Soviet Union, and then archives and materials become available. So it's an interesting case, not a unique case. There are many events we know that have been covered up to a degree and in which study has been limited.